Today we will discuss files in C. So what is a file? We know that a file is a permanent uh, way of storing things. So if I create a C program and write certain code, put certain values in that code, fine. But we know that after we close the program, we stop the execution, all the data is lost. And if we don't want that, we want that data should be preserved. We have written something, we created an array, stored something in that array, and then we once we close the program, all the contents are lost. We don't want this. We want that all whatever we enter in the program, that should be stored permanently on the computer. For that we use files. So we create a file, for example a text file with an extension of txt. Then in that text file we store things which we need to store. For creating a text file, there is a certain syntax. First we create a file pointer. So we write file all in capital letters, then create a pointer. This p is now a pointer that can point to a certain file. Okay, what can a text file contain? It may contain any of the characters that are there. It may be the alphabets, the numbers, or the special characters. So this p will point to that file. How to create a file? First of all, uh, we should know that there are many functions, inbuilt functions, which we can use to create files, to work on files. For example, one of the functions is fopen. One of the functions is fopen. So what does it do? It opens a file for us to work upon. So the way to use this function is that you write fopen, then we put that particular pointer, then we put as argument the name of the file. So for example, I create a file. Let me call this as a .txt, right? So I want to create a file on my computer, a.txt. If I don't mention the path, it will automatically be stored in my documents folder of my computer. So documents. Then a.txt file I want to open, but three there are multiple entries which I can put here. For example, if I write R here, this R means read. So what will happen? This file will open in the read mode. We can read this file and read the various contents of that file. Fine. R. And if there is no such file like a.txt there, then this function will return null. This function will return null. And if I want, okay, one more thing. When we call a function fopen, okay, this if this file opens, where we should write a pointer here, file pointer, like this. So what does this mean? This means when you open this file, the first character of this file will be pointed by this p, because after opening this file we need to work on it. we need a handle into this file. So this a.txt will open, the program will open it in the read mode, fine, and there may be many characters inside this file. The first character of the file, the first thing in the file will be pointed by p, fine. First thing will be pointed by p. And if I want this and say the file is not there, there is no file like this, it will return a null. That we can check easily. We can here check if p is null, so this is returning a null, then there is no such file. You can put it like this. Now if I want to open a file in write mode, I have to write w. W means open the file in write mode. So what will happen if there is a file, if there is no file a.txt, then a new file a.txt will be created. W means that if there is no file by this name, a new file a.txt will be created. Then you can work on that file. And if there is already a file a.txt, that will be overwritten. Fine. So it will overwrite that file. And there is a third. Okay. Again, if there is this p will point to the first position, right? Now if I write a here, append mode, what does this append mode mean? It means that this file will open and p will point to the last character. It will not point to the first entry, it will point to the last entry in the file, because this is appending. We have to add, our intention is to add something to the file. So that is why the point will move to the last position, then you can add from there onwards new entries inside the file. So these can be done. Let us first write w, because we want to create a file by the name of a, right? If I execute this program, a file will be created in my documents by the name of a.txt. That we can check. Let us save this program by files.c and let me execute it. After this, now I want to put certain entries inside this file, obviously, and for that I can use various functions. One of the functions is fprintf. There is a function fprintf. The way we write it is very similar to that of the printf. So instead of displaying something on the monitor, we have to publish this certain thing, this print that certain thing into the file, not display on monitor, but put that in file. Which file? Which is pointed by p. So first of all, I will write p, means this is the handle to that file, implying a.txt. What I have to write inside a.txt? Whatever I want, either I put directly values or I may use variables there. So for example, I want to put a number there and also some string there. So I will write %d, means I want to put certain number inside. I can write %s. I also want to put certain string there. So I can either directly write here number 10 and put some string, for example, hello there. Right? So this is the way. This is very this is the same way in which we use printf. The only addition is that here is this f printf, and here we have a pointer of handle to that file. So this is like we display on a monitor. Instead of 10 and hello, I can put certain variables. For example, I can write X here and name here. Then before these variables, I can just go here. I can write int X, for example, and into this X, I can store 10, right? And I can create this, for example, a string of size, for example, 6, and I can write hello in that string. And instead of directly writing values here, I can also write here like this X, and another variable is S. So what will happen, X and S will be stored inside the file, and this X is 10, this S is having hello inside it. And once we are done, here the file will be created, and since there already is a file that will be overwritten, these things will be stored in that. And it is a good practice to write fclose once you are done with operations. Fclose which file? The p1, p pointed by p. So what does this mean? This means that uh, I initially opened the file, now I have closed that file. Let me execute this program, a file, and we can see here this a.txt is now having both values 10 and hello, because we have written it like this. We put a space there, and here also a space has been put. This way we can directly create a file, and we know that this a.txt is a permanent storage thing. Even if I close the program, I restart the computer, this will be there. This file will remain there with all its contents. This is a way of going here, going to files. And now if I tell you that just you have a file, now just read the contents of that file, right? I have a file and I just want to read the contents of a file. So for reading the contents of that file, first I have to open the file, obviously. So let me say that this I just convert into a comment, fine. Now what I do, I create a file pointer *p, then open a file. So f open, which file I have to open, same a.txt, and right now I want to open it at read mode. I want to read its contents. And if I want to read the contents of a file, I can use various functions. One of the functions is fscanf. Fscanf. So scan from the file. Don't take things from the keyboard. Just when we use scanf, take them from the file. Okay, which file? Which is pointed by p. Okay, then the next thing is, what do we want to scan? Since right now we know there are things like there is an integer value there and a string there, so I can directly write %d and %s, scan two things, fine. And when we get those two things, we may store them in certain variables. So let us create variables here. Let us say one variable is x and another variable is s. First it is an integer, then the second thing is a string, the length of which we do not know. So let me put it 100. So I can write here x comma s, right? So what is being done here, that the file is being scanned, two values are taken from the file, those two values are stored in x and s. X is an integer and s is a string. Once we got those two values, we just we'll display them on the monitor using printf. So the values are %d, %s. And what are the values? The values are x, comma, s. And after we are done, we can just write f, close. Right? Now let me execute this program. One second, there is a mistake here, obviously, because we are scanning things, so we need to put an ampersand here. Put ampersand here. Okay, now we can clearly see here what happened. There was already a file by the name of a.txt. It was opened in read mode. Then the two values inside it were transferred to x and s. Then using printf, we displayed those two on the monitor here. So on the output screen of this, and finally we closed that file. This is the way, one of the ways of using reading and writing into a file. There are many other ways, even better ways than this, because we can clearly see that this is not a good way. Here I have a file a.txt. I have to write %d, %s. This I could only write because I knew what was inside that file. Suppose that I don't know what is inside that file. What will I do? This way will not be workable. I should have some other way to solve this problem.